Joining us once again, the editor-in-chief of thinkprogress.org, Faiz Shakir. Good evening, Faiz.
Hi, Keith.
Your website chronicled the Chamber's efforts better than anybody else has, probably possibly could. What can you tell us about their results last night?
To use a little bit of corporate lingo, Keith, I think what you saw last night was a major merger and acquisition between the Republican Party and corporate America. I think you had some of the largest corporations of America, Goldman Sachs, WellPoint, and some of their corporate front groups like the Chamber and Americans for Prosperity buy a huge stake in the new Congress through the Republican Party, and I think they're going to expect results. By our count, we saw about $30 million of ad spending by the Chamber in House and Senate races. Of those, 60%, well, at least 60% of those were won by the Chamber, and they defeated at least 20 incumbent Democrats. So that's a good night for the Chamber.
You saw that Tom Donahue speech from the Chamber, the head of the Chamber, about his group's election victories, and it sounded cartoonish, and it sounded kind of like, why would you want to boast about these things, stay under the table? But clearly, money is the great leveler in this, and what does the organization now, having bought all of these members of the House and the Senate, what does it expect to have happen on its behalf?
Oh, it has expectations. I think number one is the Bush tax cuts for the rich. I think number two is they want to preserve their ability to ship jobs overseas, make profits on those overseas jobs, and then keep the profits on those profits low, keep the taxes on those profits low. I think also they're looking to defund and do away with the Wall Street regulatory reform bill. I think the Consumer Financial Protection Agency, derivatives trading, those are all parts of the Wall Street reform bill that they would like to do away with. I think lastly, they want to beat up on unions. I think they want to beat up on unions' ability to organize labor, but also they fear the unions' ability to organize as a political force. So I think that's their agenda.
We mentioned this speech that Mitch McConnell is going to give tomorrow, and according to the Associated Press, he's going to say that the House and the Senate should keep passing bills that try to repeal health care reform and defund it if necessary. If they can't override a veto, just keep pounding at this until there's nothing left. Is the Chamber involved in any of that stuff, too?
I assume that the Chamber is involved, but I think that it's going to be naive for the Chamber to expect that it's going to get a lot of return from the investment at the outset. I think the way I refer to this is the Boehner conundrum. John Boehner's been elected. He's got to deal with two issues. One is whether he represents the people who actually made him Speaker or the profits of the corporations that made him Speaker. And I think he's got to balance the two because they're competing head on. A lot of these Tea Party activists, they don't want corporations receiving more special favors, but on the other hand, the corporations want special favors. So how John Boehner deals with this particular conundrum is going to be interesting.
Well, who'll give him the bigger retirement fund? Probably the corporations, not the people who won't vote for him next time. There may be no remedy to this particular strain of special interest money before next cycle. Do you have any sense what impact this will have in 2012?
I think that, certainly the Chamber is going to be involved. They've already got the Supreme Court. They've got one House now of Congress. They're encroaching on a second House, and they're going for the presidency. Certainly in 2012, the money is going to be flowing. I think the Democrats' big failure was not being able to pass the Disclose Act. They passed it in the House. They didn't get it in the Senate. It would be smart, I think, to bring it back up because in 2012, the Chamber is coming to the fight with the best weapons money can buy.
Which is more money. Faiz Shakir of Think Progress, thanks for all of your work on this.
Thank you, Keith.